It's a trap!
Good evening, one and all. Hope you're doing well. It's been quite the week. Sorry, just a second, double checking the sound here. Okay, it is operational. Ready to continue this piece of artwork. This weekend I'll be putting these stickers onto Silverado as something people can redeem. There is an area for that on the website, but it currently isn't tied to anything. It's more just an announcement that it's there. The update will be where you can actually use Silverado to get things from it, and stickers being one of them. Seems like we have... that's interesting. Seems like we had somebody join Silverado, but they put in just the name Visitor. That's weird. Anyway. Well, that button is broken. Okay, well, I got a couple things that need to update. Make this system a little bit more robust for some of the up-and-coming features. All right. So, I'm not certain about Milo's eyes. I'm not filling in the pupils just yet because I kind of want to have it. I want him to be looking forward, but this makes him look almost like he's in between words of a sentence, and I may want to change that expression a little bit before continuing. Anyway, here we go. By the way, compared to some of the other Milo drawings, This one's definitely more refined, but the look is slightly different. Over the next few months, I'm going to be doing sketches about him and just trying to refine the image so it becomes becomes easier for me to replicate. Because I don't know what the future of Milo is going to necessarily get used as. Is it going to be just a book series? Will there be some imagery that goes along with it? I don't know. And so I gotta kind of just get used to drawing him more often. And I've not really made a note of it to try and really spend a whole lot of time doing that. I've been focused on many other projects. And so the goal is to start leaning into some of his story again and making that a primary focus. I've not taken on a whole lot of freelance over the last couple of months, specifically because I want to work on projects that I believe have more merit. Not to say that the other projects don't necessarily have merit, but freelance can be good for little bits here and there, but I got too many stories to tell. And so every time I do a freelance project, I'm putting everything else on hold. The goal is to eventually get to the point of where when you actually do share that I get to where I am putting something out there and it's starting to make a difference as a story that I create rather than a story that someone else has created. God willing, that is going to come along sometime soon, but not holding my breath. Last couple of days I've been doing incorporating the edits that were given for the short story I've been writing, and I stress about that story way too much because I know it's a very short read, and so I know I have very little recovery time before the story's over, so I have to make sure that every word counts. It's kind of an interesting process to kind of learn. It's been good. I really enjoyed the project, but I really look forward to getting to share it with you folks. I don't know how many people are going to like it. I will say that. It is a deep story. It's made to be seen as an allegory or a parable. And so some people are going to find it inspiring, and others are going to find it ho-hum. Hopefully, people appreciate it, but I'm not going to hold my breath. Some people have enjoyed it so far. Others have been confused by it, and time will see. Time will tell what everyone else thinks. I was kind of hoping to have it done at the start of this month, and that didn't happen. Then I was hoping to have it done by Sunday last week, and last Sunday, and that did not pan out. Now my goal is to try and have it done by this weekend. We will see. Problem of making predictions of what you want is that inevitably it always fails. Always. I have never done a project where it ends up being early. It's always late. And that's my own fault. I'm not a perfectionist, but when I have time, I will use it to the fullest extent that I can. And sometimes it works. Most of the time, it's usually makes people frustrated with how long I take. But they usually enjoy what I make when it's all said and done. So I do have that bit of kind of a bit of gladness when it's all completed, knowing that at least people enjoyed it. Hopefully that's the case this time around. There was a short that I did, a short intro a couple of years ago. And I'm going to have to probably re-edit it and remove the people from the intro and build it up anew, because people really enjoyed it. And I'm not sure the occasion to put it out there. It really doesn't fit right now. It fits for a different type of channel than one I have, and so it basically would be for the people that remembered seeing it in the past, and none of those people are around right now. But I kept a lot of the comments. Comments really do matter, and I don't necessarily ask for them for these streams or whatnot. It's not necessary. But when I was just getting started, it really helped to give me ideas, to know what people liked, and kind of helped my former employer to know what people liked as well. Sadly, he did not take any of it to heart, and my efforts got wasted doing the most trivial, stupid videos. And I'm not exaggerating when I say it. They were horrible ideas that he was trying to create. I've mentioned them before. But it was just so idiotic. And I question a lot of them. I was not trying to say like, oh, hey, you gotta do it my way. I never said that. But I did say, are you sure you kind of want to go down that path? He's like, absolutely. Everybody's going to want to see this. And I'm like, doesn't take me much of a poll to find out that people think that's stupid. But here's the question. When somebody has an idea and they're the boss, do you do people any favors by being silent and saying, you know what? Nah, I'm not gonna tell you the risks. I'm just going to watch. I'm just going to ignore the fact that there's problems with this. I know a lot of people that would do that. They do not like confrontation. And so for them, they would much rather let somebody burn, so to speak, than have to confront them. I was not such a person, and I was not liked for stating my thoughts on the matters. I got so many comments from that team about how I was not being very professional about that stuff, how I shouldn't be questioning any of them. Although, if they would have asked, we could have actually had a lot of more potential. And every time we did something successful, I would take note. But things that are successful in terms of people's opinions don't necessarily make money. That's because the bots don't usually come to things that people actually enjoy. He had a business that I do believe was founded off of bots. And I don't think he even realized how many bots there were. I didn't even think that there were a whole lot of bots until one day when he came in and said, hey, I want to make a video to basically catch all these trolls and show how stupid they are for how I can like play him like a violin. It's like, well, first off, that's kind of prideful of you. Second off, are you sure that it's real people? And he set up his trap, and then he lashed out at these people and said, "Ha ha! I got you! I trapped you! You all were deceived." And I looked at the comments afterwards and thought, I think he was the one that was deceived. I don't think they were real. He kept denying it. Greetings, TFS. How you doing? But I ended up warning him, and it didn't necessarily go so well. Still, I had to give the warning, and I kind of wonder what would have happened if he had actually acknowledged it. Things aren't necessarily always going to favor wisdom. Now, wisdom, I do believe, is beneficial. You should always try and pursue wisdom. But you shouldn't assume that you're going to see the payoff. There's a lot of times in life where you're never going to see payoff for your dedication to pursuing truth. Some people are going to never understand, and that happened with that fella. What do you do when you're a beginner at drawing and like animation versus animator? Alan Becker said, oh, wait. Oh, so you like the series and you want to try and do it, is what I'm hearing. Is that correct? Animation versus animator. I remember that. I remember when the first one came out. It was quite something. It is an interesting project that he had going. Now, it's gotten far more complex in recent years. I stopped watching it after the third one. It started getting repetitive. This stuff is very well done, but at the same time, it's also incredibly simple. Or an OG from when it first came out. I remember seeing it when I was at college, and people saying, "Oh, that's so cool!" And we all went out and got Flash animation as a result, and because we were trying to do things similar to what he did, and that's when I realized he got into a design that worked well for him, but it's really hard to try and replicate and find the same level of success. The moment somebody does something so well, they cross like a certain threshold. Trying to do the same thing is like nigh impossible. But yeah, I stopped watching this after the third one. There's a lot of neat things that he did. Like this creativity of having everything on the desktop interacting with the character. Really clever. But here's one of the things that I noticed. What's the story? There is no story. Well, correction, there is a story, but it's actually all action. It's a fight. It's WWE. So, when it's all said and done, it lacks the ability to really create a narrative that lasts a long time. This becomes very trendy sort of stuff, but it has a very short shelf life. Now, his stuff has lasted a lot longer, thankfully, because for him, he's been continuing to add to it. But I don't hear anybody talking about it. This is the first time I've even heard somebody mentioning about it since college. So yeah, he's got people that watch, but the story is lacking. I'll tell you one that I actually enjoy more. Is Carbot animations. It takes a more refined approach, and in my personal opinion, some really funny stuff. He's created lore, and he actually started getting support from Blizzard because of the animations he was doing. They actually became like super popular. Now, granted, he didn't get as many views per video. The animation versus animator videos, they've made more in terms of views, but this guy made more because he actually got paid to do it, like directly. And so, big fan of Carbot. Hilarious sort of stuff that he does there. But the animation versus animator, there are a couple of really clever things they did. And one of them was learning how to work with the environment, be able to make his characters interact with the environment. Taking something that you thought, oh, well, that's just a general screenshot, and making it part of his escapades. No story, but it's good. I'm 9, so Alan Becker is a more kid-friendly approach. That is indeed understandable. You know, when I was 12, was when I actually started doing my first animations. I did not have a whole lot of tools. What I ended up doing was using Lego characters and using a camera. That was my first animations, was using Legos. Eventually, I finally started trying to draw them. Drawing takes a while, but you can eventually get better at it. One thing to remember, increment your way to being better. Don't assume that you're going to be able to make animator versus animation sort of projects right off. Believe me, I tried. I tried at the age of 12 and 13, and I failed miserably. Start on really, really small projects, and slowly build up. Learn the process. Say, like, today I want to learn how to make a bouncing ball. But the bouncing ball is not very interesting. Why would I want to bother with that? You learn how to make a bouncing ball. Now you figure out how to do the head of a stick figure. And you know how to get that head to kind of bounce around the place. Next, you're going to work with lines. Say, I want to have a flopping line. It's just going to go across the screen. Well, now you got the body of that character. Now you can put the two together. And then you can have them walk across the scene. Increment sort of improvements. One change, one thing that you learn at a time, and then use it. That's how you'll be able to eventually get to that place. Start small. Do one project at a time, learning one technique. And then you'll be able to do that sort of project no problem. I'm making little fan arts, like Victim versus the Chosen One. Hey, greetings, Wolfie. How you doing? But yeah, TFS, there are definitely a lot of different approaches you can do to try and get to there. Let me show you one of the first animations. There are definitely a lot of different approaches you can do to try and get to there. Let me show you one of the first animations one of the first 2D animations that I got to do. This was very bad, but I learned a lot in the process here. Where did I put that? It would be right around here, I would assume. Yes? No? Kind of, maybe, sort of? Ah, dagnabbit. Where'd this thing go? I need to reorganize my project folders. I do it every now and again just because here it is. Organization is everything. If you cannot figure out organization, you will suffer a lot. And I'm speaking from experience here. Okay, so this is a short animation that I did a couple of years ago. Where's the theater? Okay. All right, here we go. Add in the background audio so you can hear this ridiculously short animation. Here we go.
It seemed everyone had some special thing they could show off to the others.
I can stand on my hands.
I can do a cartwheel.
Look, I created atomic fusion.
It seemed everyone had some special thing they could show off to the others.
By the way, that audio is from Jungle Jam, an audio drama that I got to listen to as a kid growing up. Look how simple that animation is. It took me a long time to do it because I'd never done it before. The hardest thing for me was to try and figure out the mouths. And if you notice, nobody is really moving. The mouths are moving. And at the start, the narrator has his hand come up. Look at that horrible hand. It's awful. But you're learning one step at a time. I did this when I was in college. I was so embarrassed because my art skill was much better than this, and I couldn't figure out why it was failing. Well, always practice, always learn, always grow. And one of the things, TFS, one thing you're going to hear people try and tell you to do is to take shortcuts. Do not take shortcuts, especially when you're young. You said that you're just getting started. Learn, draw everywhere you can, practice as much as you can, work on small projects. Even if it's just a flip book, learn in that process, and things will get pretty good. It's awesome that you still have it. I need it every now and again to be able to look at where I've come from. So that was back then. Oh golly, here's another. This is my first special effects shot. Oh my goodness. So this is terrible. Very first attempt to do special effects. It's so bad. I'm shooting a yellow jacket out of the air, but I had no textures to work with. I was learning how to do 3D models, and I couldn't figure out how to composite. And so that was my first time of doing that. But you got to start somewhere. And later on, I was able to pull off a whole lot more. I won't bore you all with making this a series of flashbacks here to my old projects. But anyway, save those old projects and preserve them, because that way you get a chance to look back on them and see how far you've come, how much you've grown. And it really does matter. The hand is not awful. Well, it's awful compared to what I can do nowadays. That's what makes it so bad. Straight out of a cartoon. I wanted to act, well, if I could, Now, let me put it this way. I wish I had all the free time in the world. I have an anime I would love to make. And I could make the first episode by myself to be able to get support. It would take me about a full year to get it done. That's if I worked at it at the animation like it was a full-time job. I know the anime would do well. I've already tested the story on some folks, and there was a very good response. I could do that if I had the ability to do so. But right now we're in a very tough economy, and I wish I had the flexibility of youth to get to experiment with stuff like that. Because I used to do that sort of stuff all the time. Some kids would go out and go to summer camp. Some kids would spend all their time playing video games, and I was trying to make short films because I thought for certain that one day I would get a chance to make my own feature-length films. And then reality hit, and I learned that is very, very hard, and just because you have the skills doesn't mean that you're going to be able to do it. And I spent a whole lot of time trying to perfect my skills, but I didn't understand one of the most basic elements of what it takes to actually pull something like that off. You need funding. And I did not have funding. I didn't have friends. And so thus, when it came to actually trying to team up with folks to pull off a project, there was no one there. But if you learn to grow incrementally, kind of like what I mentioned about earlier, TFS, eventually it gets better. And eventually you get to the point of where you're able to pull it off. Even if it's just simple animations like that. And then it actually does well because it helps you to have a chance to get employed. Yes, you got to think about that sort of stuff. And you know what? It helped me get employed. By doing projects like that, I actually got employed when none of my fellow classmates got employed. Other people had to take up other jobs. I got to go straight into the industry. That was a great opportunity. If you want, we could try doing a 3-minute video for fun. 3-minute video, that would actually be quite something. The one of the biggest hurdles of trying to do a project is having a vision, a plan. Kind of like the guy that I knew back when I was in college. He had this project he talked about all the time. For years he was developing this. And then one day we saw it and we realized he had absolutely no story whatsoever. And it was, oh my goodness, it was horrendous. He had spent 5 years making the project only for him to have never tested it, and it failed miserably. But that being said, if you can work with people, you can find that sort of stuff out a lot sooner. You can find out the challenges along the way. Wolfie's correct. You want to work on projects together because, and you know, that's actually one of the reasons why there's why we were doing the Blender challenges over this year, to try and help people understand like the basics so people can start to learn what it's like to work on a project from start to finish. A 3-minute video, although Wolfie, does beg the question, what is it that you are what is it you are contemplating? Because I'm always open for ideas and whatnot. By the way, for those that want to work on a project, work on a one evening project. This at the start of October, we're going to be doing another one of the Blender challenges. Those are opportunities for people to learn along the way of what it's like to do a project from start to finish. We finished that up the other day for the most recent Blender challenge, and it went well enough. Still not group projects yet, but we're getting there slowly but surely. Why is this happening? Hard erase. I'll solve that problem. I'm trying to use the vector erase, and for whatever reason, it just wasn't wanting to cooperate. But anyway, I kind of focus on a pilot. Being a pilot, I have an app called Turbo Prop Flight Simulator. Oh, I remember the days of wanting to be a pilot. I grew up in with a desire to want to become a pilot, and I never actually went down that path. I could have, but I encountered some challenges. Not necessarily like challenges for me to be able to actually join and get that role. It's more like I felt compelled to want to work on storytelling, because I noticed a lot of people getting impacted by it, and a lot of people who are having a lot of challenges in their life as a result of media, and so I wanted to contribute. And I've not been very successful at getting to that part, but slowly but surely trying to get there. That's one of the reasons why Milo is a passion project for me, because it is an actual story that I have written. For the most part, the first book is almost finished. You see every now and again a little promotion off to the left of the upcoming story, and within the next few weeks I'm going to be starting to do the updated artwork for it, so people get a chance to kind of know what's coming. It's a deeply historic and also philosophical story. Hopefully people find something meaningful in it. 3-minute video is for an anime. Oh, a 3-minute video for the anime you mentioned. Just kind of to do a test run. I could bang out something in 4 to 5 days if you have a story. The music video we put out last week kind of tells a story. It's silly, but it was fun. I don't think I've seen that. I have to make a note to take a look at that. Stand by just a second. Where's my notepad? Oh. Just grab my other notepad, my digital one. So the anime that I have planned, I cannot share until the full story can be made. I know that much, because it would reveal too much, and I would actually be worried about a company seeing that and then trying to take advantage of it. How do I know this? Because somebody actually had this happen to them that I graduated with. This actually happened. Well, did they graduate at the same time, or was it around that same time? Either way, somebody had their story stolen, and I was like, ooh, got to be careful about that. So I got to figure out like the logistics for helping to protect that stuff from a theft of that magnitude. But there is another project that can be done. Something a little bit faster that can be done. That'd be interesting. Let me think about that. That'd be interesting to get to tinker with. But I'll be sure to take a look at the music video. There was a project. Oh, greetings, North Carolina native. I metaphor once when I was counting from 1 to 10. Met it right between 3 and 5. You met a 4. Clever. Well done. Oh wait, question. Just saying. A correction here. Let me read that again, because that deserves another read through. I met a 4 once when I was counting from 1 to 10. Met it right between 3 and 5.
You serious?
Very clever, sir. But yeah, there's a lot of neat things you can do with anime because it takes some shortcuts in the whole production process. I saw an anime that came out a couple of years ago. It was a dark anime. It was horrible. But I remember seeing something interesting in that because I saw what can be done when you have a team of people. I have never had a team of people to work with. For one reason or another, something always came up and teams always fell apart. I kind of feel like that was done on purpose. Like it was meant to be that way. I learned a lot of things. Would love to see your reaction / get your feedback for the music video if you're up for it. Okay, yeah, absolutely. Thanks for stopping by, TFS. Hope that your animations go well. And yeah, good luck on your drawing. Okay. Da, 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 da. All right. Let's go to the theater. Mirror, mirror. All right. Quiet crowd. All right. Let's take a look.
Never done, jack of all trades, master of none.
No wolfie dang. Nice.
Mirror, 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 too hot to close your mind. Mirror, 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 can't
That's quite
stop you falling
the bathroom there.
Walk in the glass, I've been the frame. Eyes on me, they all know my name. Heat in the skin, I don't explain. You want the touch, I want the game. Ooh, yeah, move when I say. Ooh, yeah, don't look away. Pull you in, I set the pace. One by one.
The
Always aim for the heart.
the burning of the place afterwards, and like I was quite the hot time at the bar that night. Jeff should animate a pop out comic book, so if you get too into it, you turn the page and there is oh my goodness, right in the nose, vampires. Yeah. Where's Blade when you need him? Obviously, Blade was needed at this time and place. I assumed that this was this what you mentioned about with the AI music that you were mentioning about the other day, or is this one that you all were writing the song for and decide to try and use the AI to create the video? Took place in a Mexican bar. Reminds me of the I don't know how to pronounce that vampire movie. Yeah. Never seen that, but that is one dangerous bar to be going to. At least you came prepared. And party time, I can't quite figure what that's for. But coming with the garlic was a great addition there. Crossbow, rosary in there as well. Love to see a vampire burst into flames there. 100% AI assets, including the song, but I spent probably a good 80 hours getting the assets together. Understandable. I do know that one of the challenges I've been hearing about with some of the production elements of AI tools is that iterations can cost an awful lot. It's one of the reasons why it makes for making full-length feature films so very challenging. Holy water balloons. Oh, that's good. Party time, water balloons, holy water. Bless the water at the start. Indeed. That'd be great. A bunch of demons show up, and then you just pull out these super soakers, and they're filled with holy water. Something I will say with the there was a concept that was done for a music video a couple of years ago. It was really interesting. Just a second. It was really interesting because they didn't put a whole lot of effort into its creation. It was a test. They wanted to see what the song would be like. And it ended up becoming such an absolutely wild success that they just kind of left it as is. And they're like, yeah, we don't really need to update it. But it has become an incredibly well-known piece of music in the terms of rough animations. What's the name of this thing again? But it's kind of interesting. They did something very, very small. Let's see here. Mystery Skulls Magic Animatic. They never even got to the animation. They just got to the animatic. And they had 10 million views as a result of that. Music connects with people in different ways. And some people are going to be... Some people connect immediately. And for some, it usually will connect way later when people finally get recognized and whatnot. It does remind me a little bit of a project that a professor of mine wanted to try and do when I was back at college. I won't go into the specifics because I think he's actually trying to make the story still. But it was going to be a kind of similar, where it was a very short video. There was music in the background. I don't know if it was going to be an original song, but it was going to incorporate a circus tent. And he was actually trying to get me originally to do the special effects for the circus tent, because he was like trying to figure it out in like 2012, something like that. And it was ambitious, and unfortunately he never got a chance to do it, which I always grieve that part, because I think it would have been so cool if it actually had gone through. Also, if you like gospel music, I wrote a song last night. No music video, but it helps out right now with all the stuff going on. Don't let the devil win. The 225 views in 22 hours. That's pretty good. And this one, 480 in 5 days. It's better than most of the stuff I make. Well done. Now, of course, you know my one critique. My one major critique. It's AI. I hate to say, but the music I can tell quite well. What would be incredible is to have a recording done that is based upon it, and then add in some elements here and there, and I think you would have actually a really successful project. YouTube's clamping down on AI, as are a lot of other places. And I think it would be really beneficial. If it's something where you're passionate about the story, passionate about the music, by all means, use this as a prototyping. But by all means, always give it a good shot. Throw in your own rendition and compare the two of them. Maybe have them parallel. Have one where it's kind of a low-key sort of one that's done without AI, and then one that's done with AI, and see what happens. Be very kind of curious to see how that would pan out. AI needs to figure out how to put some blemishes or human oddities into its art. Sometimes that cannot be set. That can set the art apart. Please listen to the gospel song. Let me think how it moves you. It brings me into tears. Without the AI, it would have never happened. All right, let's give this a listen. That crowd needs to have like a fade out sort of effect. We'll let this play in the background while I do some art here.
His eyes were sharp, his words cut through, spoke what's right when the lies all grew. Crowds got loud, but he stood his ground. Devils sneered, but the truth still sound. Threats came hard, but he never gave in. Free like thunder, don't let the devil win. Oh, life's too short to get burned again. So speak a little louder, don't let the devil win. Yeah, they took mocked his name, but the fire still spread, spoke his peace, and the crowd saw red. Chains got heavy, but the truth broke free. Words hit harder than the hate could be. Hate struck loud, but it won't break in. Stand in the storm, don't let the devil win. Oh, life's too short to get burned again. So speak a little louder, don't let the devil win. Yeah, they took his life, but they won't take his grin. Yeah, shine a little brighter, don't let the devil win. He fought for freedom, he fought for life. He spoke with reason, and he stood for right. He held a truth through the darkest night. He loved his country with all his might. Now rest in peace. We'll sing it just a little louder now. Oh, life's too short to get burned again. So speak a little louder, don't let the devil win. Yeah, they took his life, but they won't take his grin. Yeah, shine a little brighter, don't let the devil win.
The let's see here. It has a good sound to it. Now curious, when it's being made, are you inputting the lyrics, or is it random, or is it generating the lyrics as well? I gotta fix that transition. It is, for whatever reason, it doesn't like this one scene. I think it might be something I glitched on my end. So you use the, you wrote the song, you have the song that you wrote, and then you use the AI to master it. Ah, okay. That makes more sense. And the chords. Okay. Excellent. I was going to say that one has a much more refined feel. I think I can't quite put my finger on it, but that one turned out quite well. And so, even though I'm not a fan of AI, it still turned out well. Again, I'll be very curious to see what would happen if you were to turn that into music that's, played live. I think that would actually do really well. Maybe you don't necessarily have to have a choir in the background, but I still think that it has good potential with that. And you could have very simple sort of music video goes along with that. Inside a garage, have some lights, have a double exposure to different events that have taken place over the last couple of months. Because you're right, the timing of it is very important. It has been quite the week. Quite the week indeed. Definitely been a heavy week. What interesting times we live in. Sadly, I don't think that we're necessarily out of the woods yet either. On YouTube, you can see me trying to play Mirror Mirror sometimes, but it's loose and flowy. I spent a good 10 hours on that song. I would love to try and work on a project with you with something short. Well, you know my condition, though. You know my condition. That's the thing. I agree with you 100%, but I don't have anyone to team/time. I can definitely understand what you're in that sense. Let me show a project that never went anywhere, because this was a project that sadly was sabotaged because there wasn't a team. Or did I move that out because I was so furious at the video that I just deleted it? It would be under tests. Render tests. Okay, here we go. This is very stupid, okay? But you have to understand, we were trying to make our very first full-length feature. And so we were practicing special effects. Very bad. But for a first time with kids, it turned out pretty good compared to what it could have been. It was a tough one. This was a very tough one to work on. Because something I learned along the way, sometimes you have an idea that is not fleshed out, and people take advantage of you. And this happened with the folks that I was sadly working with on this one. So we got very bad quality, but we were in the process of learning, process of growing. We had a team of 8 people who suddenly jumped ship when we were within a few days of trying to start the filming process. Found out after a while that all the folks got together and said, "Hey, we gotta stop this madness that Jeff's doing." And it's like, but you guys signed up for this. It was so unfortunate. But you want to have people to help you achieve goals. And I learned that during that time frame, because you cannot do things by yourself. Good things take a team. There's a couple of projects possible to do. There's some test projects as well to kind of get the ball rolling. Right now I'm in the process of trying to get some of those things together. But there are some projects that I will agree have some potential to be collaborative stuff, and some things I really look forward to getting to create. Right now I'm kind of stuck in the 3D area right now because it's the easiest to kind of do as a one-man team. There's a beaver animation that I want to do, though. It's it's called Damn It. It's a meaningful story that I think has a lot of potential. It's a simple narrative. I had started animating it when I was 15. That was back before I realized I didn't have that skill to be able to pull off a full-length short, and fell apart. There's another one called This Little Light. And This Little Light is one that I actually tested with somebody who it did not... We were comparing a similar sort of story, and his ended up being dark and terrifyingly evil. And then he heard my iteration of it, and he's like, "Hey, can I get the script for that?" And I was like, no, because I plan to be making this script into a short one day. And so I've been sitting on it. But it has been interesting when trying to figure out some of the shorts. One of those that I've been tinkering on for this last year is trying to get this one done. The Keep It Clean. It's a very short animation, but it's a minute and a half, and the challenge with it has been trying to create environments. It's the first time I've really tried to lean into it, and this has been very beneficial for me because I learned how to use geometry nodes, and that proved to be a lot more difficult for me to do than I thought it would be, and also how to break scenes apart. I finished the most recent render, and it turned out almost perfect the first time around. That's rare. Incredibly rare for that to happen. But anyway, in that video Mirror Mirror, the singer is Christina, my girlfriend, and I'm the guy with the sunglasses. Both of those characters are us, but AI. And like with AI, I was going to say I thought I recognized the faces there, but I realized it was AI, and so I didn't want to assume that's what you're going with. But it makes sense. I'm not saying replace everything, but yeah, it's good for spitballing and getting things out. 3D plus AI equals amazing results. Sometimes I've seen some things where it kind of falls apart. We're in a time right now where a lot of projects are going to start becoming... you're going to start seeing AI appear in a lot of the post-production process. Pre-production too, although I think pre-production is like the area that it really should not be. Post-production, you're going to see a lot of AI, unfortunately. And I do say unfortunately because it's going to impact a lot of people. We had another guy come to the stream about 2 weeks ago who lost his job to AI. And it is interesting to kind of see. AI projects really don't do well when you put them out there. Sometimes they can do well. Most of the time, I think the anti-AI movement is gaining steam, and so I think it's going to get harder and harder to kind of pull that stuff off without putting what is now going to become a very coveted sort of label of no AI used. That's going to be kind of the definitive of what makes projects probably really, really good. Now, I'm sure there's going to be plenty of stuff that comes out that's going to be successful with AI. Hollywood will be probably the curators of that. But some other people will do it as well. And it is interesting to kind of see how the times are changing. I will forever be skeptical of the AI. I know too much about human tendencies, human history, and it makes me very wary where it can go. It's a weird time to be trying to get into the industry, or correction, trying to make it in the industry. My business, actually, the business I work at, has actually stopped pushing AI. They were pushing it for several months, several years technically. Like, oh, AI is going to take over, and then suddenly they went very silent. And I understand why. I think they suddenly realized the flack they were going to get from their staff, which kind of realized that they could be removed in a moment. And right now, goodwill is being worn thin among a lot of these bigger companies, especially places like Disney that are going, that are really going hardcore into this stuff. Disney promised their staff they weren't going to go this round, and then suddenly, here we are, years later, and they're actually going through with it. Again, what a weird time to be in the industry. Direct question: as a creator, is it better that I made those videos, or would it have been better that I not make those videos? That's a very interesting question. I am sitting on stacks of projects that may or may not ever see the light of day. Back when my brother was willing to consider doing a business venture with me, he was asking what sort of projects that I had planned, and I pulled up a sheet of 100 projects. I threw them down and said, here's the projects, of which there is at least a treatment for most of them. He looked at it and was like, this has potential. And I got hopeful that some of them were going to be able to be made. After a few days, though, the whole concept kind of fell apart, but I still had the 100 stories. A couple years later, I got a business offer from YouTubers to try and make projects for them. And I said, okay, well, just so you know, I come with 100 projects that I want to try and pull off. I will take a lower pay just so I can be able to pull off these projects, or at least some of them. He said yes, and then promptly went back on his word. And I lost a lot of money in that venture, and he lost a lot of money too. But for him, it was because mostly the industry of YouTube was crashing. So the answer to your question is actually this. A couple of years later, I was sitting down and starting to write story as a book. It's right over there, Milo and the Demon Bear. I have incorporated 5 of the plot lines to other stories of those 100 stories, 5 of those stories into the same book. It has made, it has fleshed out the book tremendously. All that to say, we are at a time where the world is going to start filling up with kitsch. And if you know your history, you know what happened when kitsch came into the merchandise world. A lot of trinkets came out. People got a whole lot of stuff, but at the same time, it became harder than ever for businesses to really thrive. It was a double-edged sword. It was a great tool. It also destroyed a whole lot. We're at the kitsch moment for videos. Viewership of them is going to plunge. And the ability to actually have things really succeed becomes a lot harder. I have made hundreds of videos at this point, either for clients, for commercials, for documentaries. And you know what my combined viewership is for all of those projects together? Is a couple thousand. Hundreds of projects, a couple thousand. Something that is really high quality, that has a lot of passion put into it, a lot of skill put into it, could dwarf all that I've made in a moment. Absolutely everything I've made over the 15 plus years would be beaten by a single high quality video. In my personal opinion, a smaller number of high quality projects will fare much better than mass production. I'm not saying that's how it's actually going to pan out. Some people are going to be able to find success by doing the mass production route. A whole lot of people do that. And they do find success. I have made my choice based upon my ethics. Because I've seen what it's like to be treated like a machine. Thank you, Amazon, for teaching me that lesson. I got to see what happens when artists get replaced by an algorithm. Thank you, Disney, for teaching me that. And yes, I did learn that in person from people. I got to learn from the advertising world how cheating does not actually pay off. And production cheating as well. It was the perfect storm of events to create me with the worldview that I have. It doesn't stop other people from taking their route, but it definitely limits what I can do. That anime that I mentioned about, I fully intend to make that one day. It's going to be high quality, and I want it to knock the socks off of people. I want it to wow them and say, oh my goodness, I never thought that there could be a story here. That's the sort of impact I want. And I know how I want it to look. It would be impossible. I can verify 100% because I have tried this. It would be 100% impossible to get AI to do it. The reason why? There's no artwork for it. The style does not exist because it's an original idea. It's up to you to choose the path that you're going to take. For me, I've chosen my path in part because I'm stubborn. Anyway, when it all comes down to it, it's because I'm incredibly stubborn. But I'm also deeply passionate about my field. I'm deeply passionate about the people that work in my field. And I want to be able to be deeply passionate and have it show in the stuff I do. The things that I've done that have connected with people the best did not use presets. Presets and algorithms were the systems of old that got replaced with AI. No preset that I ever used ever got a standing ovation. The ones where people could tell it was handmade, those were the ones that people got excited over. Those were the ones where you actually got people saying, wow, that was cool. And I'm like, but I hate it because it could have been so much better. They're like, but we can see the passion that went into it. And suddenly, it changes your mindset. For me, I never took the path of presets. I had a philosophy. If I'm going to use a technique, I want to learn it from the ground up. I want to master it, and so that I can be the one to kind of dictate how the algorithm, how the preset is going to be used. Was it the smart path? If you were to ask colleagues, no, it was not. But you know what? I have a lot of ideas now that become a possibility because I did take that route. I was at college. It was my first big project. A student was in charge of the presentations that were going to be taking place. This was for a concert. I got commissioned, and I was going to be given the license to a software as payment. And I did it. It was supposed to be a complex animation. It was going to have story. It was going to have puzzles, and it was supposed to play before the concert. It had to be 10 minutes. That took forever to render. This was back before renders really got faster. It was very difficult. And when we were in the process of rendering it, because I was working with another student, the other student messed something up. And I do say the other student because I didn't realize it until it was too late. He was supposed to be rendering something, and I found out later on that it wasn't actually rendering. I freaked out. We went over and we actually started rendering on multiple machines, simultaneously jumping from machine to machine to try and pull this thing off. The 10-minute render, and we started getting emails and suddenly phone calls. Where's the video? And we're like, it's coming. We're almost there. We'll be there very soon. You'll have it the day beforehand. And that was true. The render finished, and I said, okay, we're ready to deliver it. And they said, don't worry, we don't need it anymore. It's like, what? And I was like, but I have it in hand. Oh, well, we won't be able to process it in time. You have an entire day. I'll process it. What sort of format do you need it in? No, don't worry. Thanks for the help. That's weird. So I got on my jacket, and I walked on over to the building that it was taking place in because I didn't have a car. Walked into the building. I walked up to the building, and the door was locked. They were preparing for the concert. So I went around to the side. Door was locked. Went around to the other side. Door was locked. I went around this building over and over again. I finally found a door that was unlocked. I walked in, and I found that they were having a meeting, and I had the hard drive in hand with multiple different file formats because they didn't tell me what file format they wanted. I'm walking on in, and I hear someone who had seen the preview of the animation I had sent say to the student, so why are we not using the animation that Jeff made? I saw it. It fits the criteria. I mean, it'll be fine. And the student who's in charge said, absolutely not. We're not using that. It was too late at delivering it. We can't be able to process it in time. And what's more, we are actually going to be using a preset that I bought on the web. It suddenly made sense. The student hated me. I learned that out later on. But I got replaced. Me and this other student got replaced by a preset. And suddenly they saw me walking in, and the professor who was there said, and he pointed. The student turned around and face turned white. And I held up the hard drive and said, "Hey, I brought the hard drive. It has all the file formats on there. Contact me if you have any problems with it." I turned around and walked out. The concert happened the following day. And I did not tell the other student what I had overheard. We entered the building and take our seat. As the lights dim, the 10-minute timer comes up, and my heart sank, and the guy next to me gave an exclamation of shock, because up came the worst preset we could have imagined. This student had bought a preset that later on I found out cost them like $20. A $20 preset. And that student was expecting to get praised for making a high quality animation. It was a preset. It disgusted me. It disgusted me for all the reasons that AI has disgusted me. It was a shortcut. And it ended up making problems for many people. I missed out on an opportunity, along with the other student, to actually build our resumes, to actually do something that would have given us the ability to get internships. We missed that opportunity. And later on, the student would try and sabotage another project of mine in a similar sort of way. But when it was all said and done, we had spent, I think it was a combined total of maybe 80 to 100 hours trying to get this thing done, on top of classes, on top of other projects, only for us to not get a chance to see it shown. I learned something that day. It was the cost of shortcuts. It was a lesson I didn't expect to learn. I have tried to avoid shortcuts whenever possible, because I've learned that it's not just other people that suffer as a result. It's your own skills that suffer. That student who used the preset tried putting in for a big-time position and used that as their means to try and get that internship. It did not turn out well. They recognized the preset, and the student did not get that job. And I missed out on opportunities too, not because I didn't do it, but because it never got used. 2 people suffered. Well, 3, because me and the other guy. The other guy even got out of the field of study. He was like, "This ain't working," and so he jumped ship. As I understand, he still hasn't really done anything in media since then. But but there's always a cost. And the number one cost is to yourself. And so I would love to be able to pull off the 100 stories that I have. And I do intend to write some of them and make them into narratives. But I'm taking the other strategy, merging them together. And it's going pretty well for the Milo's Adventures. The story of the anime story that I have planned, which is probably not going to be anime at this point. It'll probably be a book. I think it has great potential too. But you know what? I've used another couple of stories, combined them together to make the narrative. And you know what? It never would have happened. It never would have actually kind of done well in the testing if it had not been that way. So effort is never wasted. And that's the takeaway for this story. It's never wasted. But there is something that there is a payment that does get lost in that whole ordeal. That's skill. That's opportunity to shine and use and to grow oneself. Now, can you grow yourself with tools like presets, AI, or whatnot? Yeah, absolutely. But there's something about human creativity that stands out, that really impacts people in a deep and meaningful way. Remember I mentioned about that anime, that short animatic that someone had done? This is that animation. Well, animatic. There's probably 200 drawings in here. I won't play it because the music's copyrighted. But look at this quality of animation. It's very bad. 10 million views for a channel that has 27,000 followers. 10 million views. But I think it's because, first off, it's a very catchy tune. But second off, I think it's that personal touch that people really liked about it. Definitely worth watching. I look to this as a reference material because of what it's like to have an idea and to take a shortcut and still have it be successful. I saw this when it first came out, and I thought, oh, that's never going to go anywhere. It's not refined enough. Boy, was I wrong. 10 years later, 10 million views. Oh, golly. That's a perfect face to pause on for that one. But anyway, it's got me thinking now. Like, I don't have musical talent. If I did, I'd be doing something like this. I understand I'm stubborn too. To me, creation is about iterations, being flexible, and AI supercharges that. Helps you learn and understand if you want. You have chosen a path, and you're finding different ways to create. I have definitely chosen the harder path. Think of my path as being similar to Milo here. You know, one of the reasons why I made the story of Milo, or why I'm in the process of making the story of Milo? Well, first off, is because of the roleplay that inspired me. But the other thing is that it harkened to the thing that I have spent my whole life doing, studying history. It gave me a chance to really lean into that, to find life lessons in history, to find something cherishable in old-fashioned. I'm very old-fashioned It may not seem like it. I do tech stuff. I do art, animation, coding. I should not be somebody that would be necessarily a source for the Wild West or American history. I've been reminded about that by some historians. But I have a passion for it, and I want to tell stories based upon how the world was viewed through their eyes. That's how I think. It's no wonder that I ended up being so anti-AI. If I could, I would have been born in the Old West. I would have been born in the Middle Ages. I think it would have actually fared well back in those days. I would have fared better than I did in modern era in many ways. But I wasn't placed back then. I was placed here and now. In an era where people of values and productivity and creation are becoming rare. Hey, greetings there, Enigmatic. How are you doing? How are you and your family faring? But as always, Wolfie, I'm not going to necessarily tell you to go one way or the other with it. I still think that you're going to be able to find success in different ways, and it won't be in ways that I find success. But I will forever stay anti-AI, and this last year has really solidified that for me. Especially after I've seen so many people lose their jobs. I'm like, nope, going to avoid it. I will choose the hard path because I am just like you. I'm stubborn. We'll see what happens. One day we will have clarity about which was the right path, and I think it will be an interesting story. Because I think a lot of people are watching with bated breath about which is the right path, which one's going to be successful, which one's going to be problematic. Because there are going to be people that are going to find success, and there's people that are going to find failure. And I don't know what this AI world's going to create for us, what sort of routes are going to be successful or not. But I will always say that a person's skill should never be surrendered. Always grow. Even if you are using the AI, keep growing your skills all the same, because I think that will pan out pretty well over time. Time will tell. Time will tell. Doing okay. Our son's blood tests are looking great. In the city now. Had 3 days of doctor appointments. Ooh, 3 days. That's unfortunate. Well, hopefully the doctor appointments end up being, well, not being too stressful. I'm glad to hear that your son's doing better. Keep up the faith, and hopefully everything will continue to go well. I hear you, says Wolfie. Gonna call it a night. It was good hanging out with you. I'll catch you later. Same to you, Wolfie. Thanks for sharing the videos all the same. Rest well, and we'll see you next time, whenever that is. Most went well. Well, that's good. Trying to, I do not do well with medical stuff. Like, period. I'm terrible when it comes to that stuff. Thankfully, I've not had a whole lot of health issues yet, but I do realize that based upon family history, the chance of that changing is a very real possibility. I'm not looking to that era. Mostly because even though it could be minor, I would kick so much that doctors would hate having me around. Caught most of your conversation last night talking about part of your last conversation talking about living back in the day. Oh yeah, yeah, living back in the day. What it would be like to live in the olden days. I would have done pretty well if I had lived back in like the Middle Ages or the Wild West. One of the reasons why I tell stories about historic fiction. It's designed not necessarily to alter history, but more to view history in the way that people back in those days would have seen it. Modern era drives me crazy. That's possibly the one that you're referring to, unless it's not, which I ramble all over the place, so it could have been that one, could have been something else. But we live in the modern era, and trying to navigate this era has been quite something, especially as of late. It's kind of weird to think about the all the different ways that life is different than when I was a kid. Not a lot of time has passed. And yet it feels so different. And everyone else I know who grew up in like the 80s and the 90s are like, this, it feels like we all woke up and it was all a dream. And in a way, it kind of was. There's no way to go back to it. We grew up in an era that no longer exists. Chief, now I can only imagine what that would have looked like a few hundred years ago. Indeed, indeed. Especially up here in Alaska. When I was growing up, we were in Europe. And my first culture shock was coming back to the U.S. I miss Europe. I really did feel like I kind of grew up as European in many ways. And in an older era as well. I actually thought in my head that we were living in the 40s or the 50s. Because all my media was revolving around that time era. I woke up, so to speak, when I became a teenager, and I realized, wait a minute, we don't live in the 1940s. And suddenly my world changed in a moment, and that was a shell shocker. That happened when we came back to the States. I was like, wow, world's different. One of our tribe's founding fathers wrote in an article almost 100 years ago that said the Gwinnetchin put down the war clubs. They put them down for faith in Jesus. The news I've seen coming out from Europe is scary. People going to jail for thought crimes. Yeah, Europe's different. It changed very quickly. When I grew up in Europe, it was beautiful. culture was sensible. People were sane. Times looked great. The world looked hopeful. And then the floodgates opened, and Europe ceased to exist. I got to see it recently, and when I went over there, I was shell-shocked. I was grieved. The Europe I remembered was gone. Yeah, it has. Yeah, it has. Mass migration, it comes in two forms. One is people that improve an area, people that are like blend in and really connect well. But when people come in and say, you know, we don't really like this place, we came over here to take it over, like, nope. Nope. That makes things a lot harder to try and deal with. A whole lot harder. But yeah, the thought crimes, huge, huge issue. I'm glad I'm not over in Europe right now because of that. But I feel sorry for them. A lot of people over there do not want that. And it was forced upon them. It goes to show you have to be able to stand for what you believe. And when someone comes along to take it away, you got to say, no. I refuse. So a lot of people are going to probably end up in jail over the coming years because of that stuff. Hopefully American can help to inspire them to be different. But that may not go so well. I remember back in high school in 2004 and 2005, a video of an Islamic leader talking about how they were going to destroy the Western world. Yeah. I remember something similar to that. I didn't see that necessarily that video, but I do remember seeing something around that time frame that made me realize they want to destroy everything. Didn't help that there were a lot of Europeans that were gnawing at the bit to want to tear things apart. Like, yeah, let's get rid of everything. We hate our country. We want to see it destroyed. And they were livid about that sort of stuff. And like, that's not going to turn out so well. Years later, and things are bad as ever. It started with the human trafficking, honestly. It is bad over there. Human trafficking in Europe is atrocious, and it's because of Islamic people. If this channel gets nuked, you know why. Called for as many of their people as possible to go into Europe and the US and create their own communities inside of ours. Sure has happened, hasn't it? And we had people that were willing to do it because they hate the West so much. Never has there been a culture as charitable, as ethical as Western cultures. It has expanded, it has grown. The West now stretches from Europe to North America, and I argue into Japan as well. They count as a Western nation in many ways, even though they're in the East, because they share values that are very, very similar. But everything was like, we had this understanding of like what was good and right, and then all at once our culture said, no, that's old-fashioned. Love your neighbor? Ha! No, we're not going to love our neighbor anymore. What? Actually be charitable and kind? No, let the government do that. What? Actually keep students educated? No, let's make sure that we get rid of that ability. And make it impossible for parents to be involved in their lives. so maddening. And what's worse is that we got to see that growing up. It's like we grew up and saw it, and all the warning signs were there. We heard professors and teachers say, hey, this is going to go really bad. And we still did it. People like Charlie Kirk were trying his best to try and stem that tide. He did a lot, and his efforts were not in vain, thankfully. That saddle is not looking good. Let me pull up an image of a saddle. Actually, wait a minute. Why am I putting a saddle on him to begin with? He's setting up. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, that's right. He's traveling, and so he's stepping off for just a moment. Where's saddle? Here we go. Have you seen the communist letter from back in the 60s and 70s that explained how they were going to destroy our country? Yes, I did see that. We got to learn about that in history class. And again, everyone knew it was coming. And we're like, it's not actually going to happen. Well, correction, our professor said that. And I was over there thinking, wait a minute, but it's actually happening. Don't worry, Americans are really good at identifying this. We already know it's coming. So because we know it's coming, we can avoid it. And they did promptly nothing. The dumbest people were leading our nation from the 70s to the 90s. Dumbest people. Because they knew it was coming. Sure, they were ethical people. There was a lot of good folks in that time and era. But they were idiots. They saw it coming. They knew it was coming. And the people that said, don't worry, it'll never happen. And the people that wanted it to happen, they had free reign. Imagine that. You spent your entire life teaching students, hey, avoid this path. Why? Because it leads to death and destruction. And years later, it's like, why are all the students becoming Marxists? It's because of stuff like that. Because they look the other way. When I went to college, I had a communist professor who was evil. I mentioned it to the school. That professor got promoted. I do not support colleges, and that's a big reason as to why. But yeah, it's a deep-rooted problem in our culture. Our desire to live in peace causes us all to just look the other way when we really shouldn't. We are a people that understand the danger. We have to live like we understand the danger, not just assume that somebody else would come along and magically make it go away. It was the exact same as the Democratic playbook. Yes, it was. Take God out of schools, break apart the family, make children the property of the government, push the identity politics, confuse the population with sex and gender stuff. It's insane. Yes. They were very thorough. But at the same time, parents look the other way. Leaders look the other way. It was so weird. Like, I was talking with somebody who was old enough to be in that era, and they said, how did this stuff happen? Because they didn't understand how the world has gone so crazy. And I responded saying, this happened over decades. Like, when I was going to school, everyone was talking about becoming Marxists, about destroying the country, how evil we were, how horrible in every way, shape, or form. what did you expect was going to happen? And the older fella, I feel sorry for him. He's like, but we taught you guys not to do that. Yes, you taught us that. And then the Marxists took over. And then they took over the schools. And a lot of the best people in our culture did not become teachers. They barely became parents. And now, we all live with consequences. Some people did a good job. My parents did a very good job. Most of my friends growing up, or at college, they did not have that. A lot of them had their parents turn on them in one way, shape, or form. And they're like completely disconnected. And then a lot of other parents gave their kids cell phones and now tablets, and now they're not in the picture at all. Both parents work, so thus they don't pay attention to what their kids are being taught. In media, destroys what's left of the kids. What a weird time. But again, it was everyone who grew up in that era knew it was coming along. And we let it happen. I was talking with a guy who was like, but everything got fixed. We started correcting. We were going in the right way. Yeah, but they took decades to destroy things. Things will improve, but not after we go through a lot of trials and tribulations. Getting a lot of the illegals out of the country is going to help. It'll help us be able to reestablish our culture and not to be ashamed of it anymore. Instead, to say, hey, look, here's our strengths, here's our weaknesses, let's grow. Rather than say, let's just destroy it all. Madness. I was blessed to grow up around people of all kinds of political beliefs and a lot of mistrust in the government and leaderships, or I should say maybe not mistrust, but a deep pull to ask a lot of questions. I can understand that. When my fellow students talked about communism, I was read up enough to know that communism had fully failed their populations for over 100 years. Oh, even longer than that. The first communist cultures began back in I think it was the 1600s. The first one in North America was Jamestown. And it was an experiment in communism. Everyone almost starved to death. And it was John Smith, the swashbuckling buccaneer of the era, that came in and saved the day with capitalism. No, literally, that he saved the entire colony single-handedly just by telling people, you work for your labor. And he started quoting scripture and said, he who does not work shall not eat. And he held them to that. And they started working, and they made Jamestown work. Otherwise, it would have been a failed establishment. Communism is for robots. That's what's scary. Oh, that's what's really scary. There's a lot of people now that want communism because robots are in the picture. Like, don't worry, the robots will labor for us. It's like, no. Folks, it's going to betray you. But they want so desperately for communism to work because it's their when you replace God, anything sounds better. So infuriating, honestly. Like, how many times do you have to argue with these people? Communism kills. And then they prove it, like this last week. Infuriating. Communism destroys lives. And there are people right now that are experiencing the worst possible torture over in China. The largest communist country the world has ever known. And people are being tortured in horrible, horrible ways. We know about it too. And our students are like, no, we don't want to believe it. Communism can still work. As people suffer and perish under that rule. And they come over to America to warn us and say, hey, really bad things are happening over there. And we're like, no, we don't want to hear you. You know what? Let's ask the CCP if they're doing anything wrong. No, we're not doing anything wrong. Yeah, we believe the CCP. We don't believe the person who escaped the torture chambers to come over and warn us. I had a friend who went over to China on a student visa. And she came back and was like, oh, China's a great place. There's nothing wrong over there. It's a perfect society. Did you see the people that were being tortured? No, there's nobody being tortured over there. Aha. You were led by a handler. You didn't get a chance to see it. You didn't get a chance to speak to any of the people. Do you speak the language? No. Well, how are you going to be able to know if there's people over there that are in trouble or not? It's very hard to get those people over there to talk. I got to meet a person that was fleeing China. They came over to the U.S. To escape. I hope they're doing well. Because he came over here because the CCP was trying to hunt him down. And they were sending messages saying, hey, if you don't come back, we're going to your family. Thankfully, he has no family left. And so their threat was null. But, yeah. Communists, they have no values. They have no limits to what they will do. And that's something that's very, very hard for a lot of our modern kids to understand, that anyone can be that evil. But yeah, like you said, it's a religion. A religion and the idea that mankind can make a utopia in this world. Utopia is impossible. Heaven is coming, but it's not going to happen because of man's skills. Something changed in the U.S. when Charlie Kirk was assassinated. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. World is very different. It's going to be a weird time moving forward. It was going to happen eventually, and that's what's so sad about it. The left's rhetoric just kept ratcheting up. As Tucker Carlson said last year, he was afraid that a political assassination was being planned. He thought it was Trump, and it was very, very close. The guy did not miss. God turned Trump's head. The guy was not going to miss. Charlie Kirk was not so fortunate. Tucker Carlson was right, but it was the wrong person. I think the left realized that terrorism is now their strategy. I hope that the moral fiber of our country kicks in and we start to realize the danger. But this is the perfect storm. It's like everything's going wrong simultaneously. I don't think that it's going to be a very easy fix. And that's why I'm kind of holding my breath. I'm not liking where things are going. I know a lot of hotheads over the years I don't keep in contact with them anymore. I don't even know where they live these days. One of them went down to Arizona, I know that much. He was someone who wanted to bring about a communist America. And I tried reasoning with him. He would not listen. That was years ago. I don't know whatever happened to him. But I do know this. This is the left's last hurrah. They're losing people left and right. Well, correction, not just left. They're losing people all to the right. They're losing people. Immigration's being reversed. And they're not having kids. That's the big thing. Right now, at the rate that we're going, the Amish are going to become the most populous part of our country before long. A bunch of people who don't use technology are going to become the largest voting bloc in the country within like 20 years. Imagine that. But the left's not procreating. They hate kids. They'd rather have a dog, rather have a cat. Kids? Oh, those are so obnoxious. They cost so much money. I'm saving the environment. Ridiculous people. God sent us out in this world to care and maintain it. And also to procreate. And the left doesn't value God, so obviously they don't see any value in procreating. Amazing how that happens. And so that's why I think this is their last hurrah. I think they know in 4 years from now, a lot of their people are going to start disappearing. Or they're going to get too old to really do anything. They're running out of time. It's kind of like China right now. China has a very short window to actually do something. And that's what's so worrying. That's what's so worrisome. They have 30 million plus young men who have no prospects for marriage. They're very angry. They have no future. A single apartment costs $1 million. And they're very upset with their government. The CCP knows that they're in huge trouble. And so they will probably start a war just so they can get rid of their young men. The left, I think they're in a similar sort of hoorah right now. But for them, I think their time has passed. I think they lost the moral high ground that they spent so long trying to perfect. And so now, good luck. They're going to cause a lot of damage, but I think that they've lost the ability to really recover and carry on their narrative of evil. Our forefathers pushed back against a government/leadership that forced its ideology on them. I worry the right will push back in the wrong way. That's true. The Amish stood up for Trump after the last administration attacked their way of life. The whole world is going to change. What it changes into, who knows? Hopefully, we maintain a sense of value and ethics in the coming years. Because there's other things on the horizon. Political stuff right now is just the gateway to some really troubling things. I think AI is going to become one of the biggest voting issues of the next few years. Because after the left is dealt with, we have to deal with the technocrats, the people that control our lives through technology. And I do believe the left is going to break at this point. I think they overstepped way far. That's one of the things that I am grateful that God sent Charlie Kirk to do what he did. He leveled the playing field. He started to reverse a trend that the left had a monopoly on. That's why they hated him so much. He reversed what no one else was able to do, to fix what no one else could do. There were people like political folks, commentators, ministers, whatnot. They were trying to reach the younger voting bloc, and they couldn't make it happen. And now, thanks to what Charlie Kirk did, there is an awakening that is happening. And it looks like it is becoming a true revival. Let's hope and pray that happens. When I was at college, people were angry. People hated you just for who you were. This was a Christian campus. I got so many people that would just rant. Like, oh, you don't know how good you have it. You don't know how you're just ruining all sorts of things. Me? I'm struggling to get through my classes. I've been told every semester that I'm this close from being kicked out of the school. How am I privileged here? I'm paying for everything here, or my parents are helping pay for it, but things are going very bad. I lost my scholarship because of all these things. How is that privilege? And then like, oh, well, you're just full of hate. I have friends on all continents except Antarctica. I have people that are Indian, friends that are Indian, Chinese, African, Australian, European, South American, Central American. How am I hating anybody? Oh, well, you're just being, you're just a religious extremist. For calling for peace and asking for people to keep level heads, to have open dialogue and to not resort to violence. That's extremism? But I remember growing in college and realizing this world is blindly going towards anger. I wonder, though, can we get off the anger escalation? And that's my one concern. Can we get off the escalation of anger? May God have mercy on us. Because right now we're winning an ethical victory, a moral victory, and people are waking up. People that I never thought would actually turn around, and they're turning around. And it's all happened within last week. I'm glad that I live in Alaska. We're disconnected from a lot of it. But you know, I'm also very disappointed that I live up here. Because I feel like I'm unable to really do much to help. To be able to be there for when these dramatic moments are happening down in the lower 48. God places us in areas for a reason. And that's one thing that I've learned, though, over the last couple of years. Not to question that part. I mean, question it, yes, but don't challenge it. There's a reason why things happen the way that they do. There's a reason why I wasn't born back in the Old West or the Middle Ages. I don't really know why yet. Because I think it could have done a lot better. A lot more good back then. No, I was born into an era like today, and I don't yet understand why. But that's the goal. Try and find out what mission God has, and then to embrace it wholeheartedly and say, yes, I'm ready. Send me, let me do whatever I can to make a difference. Thankfully, a lot of youth right now are waking up to that exact same sort of acknowledgement, and I'm getting hopeful. But things will get worse before they get better. And sadly, this last week has proven that is indeed what's happening. Well, we're kind of at a point where I need to start to wrap up here. Well, we got the rest of Milo done. We got Yukon drawn. The next part is to update the fire, which I did update the fire with a new design here. And now I got to actually fill in these scenes into there. And that will be done next time. This drawing is coming along well. It has taken a long time, but I'm glad I started doing this rather than printing it out and trying to do it by hand. That would make do it by hand on actual paper. That would have been probably a step too far for this complex of a drawing. And that way I can actually get it done before too long. Tomorrow we're going to be doing more art and Fortnite. Or we'll do a combination stream like we've been doing for a while now. Something else. If I can get it done this week, and the short story of Pharaoh and the Smith will be coming out. That's for free on Castercraft. There's no paywall for it. This is just a short story. I want to see what people think of it. And the other thing I also will do is I'll set it up so that we can have stickers. So we have stickers that we're going to be putting onto there as well. They came out really nice. Going to crash, flying home tomorrow. Rest well, sir. Safe travels, and may you and your family have a wonderful fall. Thanks for stopping by. To the rest of you across the platforms, if you find anything of merit around here, would you consider liking the stream? If you don't like it, feel free to dislike it. It means you're flesh and blood. But we will be continuing this tomorrow. We don't have anyone on the Twitch sides. We're not going to be raiding over there. And so we'll just be calling the stream at this point. Have a very pleasant evening and morning, everybody. Just a reminder, no matter where you fall on the political spectrum, be civil to one another, and we will see you next time. Until then, folks, have a very pleasant evening. As Enigmatic says, God bless, and we will see you all next time.